Hi, this is Maslea. In this video, we're going to talk about variation. Variation, this is a topic in mathematics syllabus D, which is very much examinable in mathematics paper 1 final exam. So now in this video, I'm going to explain the concept that you need to have for you to appreciate the topic called variation. Let's start by interrogating the definition of variation. So we are saying variation is a branch of mathematics that is used to describe a specific relationship between two or more variables. So this simply means that as far as variation is concerned, we'll be dealing with two or more variation. Now, this variation, they need to be connected by a relationship. They need to have a relationship linking one variable to another variable or one variable to more than two variables. So we need to appreciate the definition of variation. So what else are you supposed to know about variation? All right. So we use the symbol proportion to connect to one variable to another. So remember that from our definition, we have said that this topic variation describes the specific relationship between two or more variables. So these variables, they need to be connected by the proportion, the direct proportion symbol. So this symbol is very important as far as variation is concerned. So meaning that when you are given a relationship between two variables or more than two variables, you need to know how to insert the proportion symbol. However, don't worry, I'm going to explain that aspect. All right. So after appreciating that we use this symbol to connect one variable to another, what else are you supposed to know? Okay, so when you replace the proportion symbol by equal sign, always introduce k, which is the constant of variation. So this simply means that one, we have understood to say, as far as variation is concerned, is describe the specific relation between two or more variables. So these variables, they need to be connected by the proportion symbol. So as you are calculating, you need to replace or you need to substitute this proportion symbol by the equal sign. Once you introduce the equal sign, you need also to introduce k, which is the constant of variation. Other than this, what else are you supposed to know about variation? It is the type of variation. There are four types of variation that you need to understand. The first one is the direct variation. The second one is the inverse variation. The third one, it is the joint variation. And the last one, it is the partial variation. However, as far as grade 12 final exam mathematics paper 1 is concerned, you'll be interrogated from the three variation, which are the direct variation, the inverse, and the joint. Therefore, let me explain about these three types of variation. So the first one, which I'm going to explain, it is the direct variation. What are you supposed to know about the direct variation? So we are saying, in direct variation, as one variable increases, the other variable increases as well. So remember that I'm always referring to the definition of variation so that we can appreciate the relationship. Okay, so we have said to say variation describes the specific relationship between two or more variables. So now with direct variation, the first thing that you need to know is that direct variation deals with two variables. Two variables. Now this variable, as one variable increases, the other one increases as well. As the other variable decreases, the other one decreases as well, because it's a direct relationship which is there. So now how are you going to use the proportion symbol? This symbol. So this symbol, you're supposed to use it in direct variation if the question, the key term or the key words are, for example, y varies direct as x. So how are you going to use this direct variation? So this direct variation is used to connect one variable to another variable. For example, we have y varies direct as x. Okay, so from this statement here, you need to know that this is a direct variation because of this word direct. Okay, remember it's a direct variation, so y varies direct as x. So meaning that whenever you have this word in the statement, then you need to have this kind of relationship to say y varies direct as x. So we have used this symbol to connect to y and x. Now we say that immediately when we remove this symbol and substitute y, we need to introduce k. So as you can see, I've removed this symbol, substituted equal sign. Once we do that, we need to replace what? K, which is the constant of variation. So meaning that this relationship, y varies direct as x, it's the same as y is equal to kx. Having enjoyed the direct variation, let's also enjoy the inverse variation. What are you supposed to know about the inverse variation? Very simple there. Very simple concept that you need to appreciate. Okay. So with the inverse variation, we are saying in an inverse variation, as one variable increases, the other variable decreases. It is the opposite of the direct variation. Remember, with the direct variation, we have said if one variable increases, the other one increases. Now with inverse, as one variable increases, the other one decreases. But what can you notice with inverse variation? Inverse variation also deals with the two variables, just like the direct variation. Now it's only that the relationship, it is inverse. Okay, one variable is the inverse of the other variable. So how are you going to know when to apply the inverse variation? Very simple. For example, here we have y varies inversely as x. As you can see, this word has appeared inversely. Very important. So meaning once you read this word inversely, then you need to acknowledge to say you are dealing with the inverse variation. So to show this relationship by using this symbol, the proportion symbol, we are going to say y is inversely proportional to 1 over x. We are not going to say y is inversely proportional to x. No, because this relationship, it is the direct relationship. So with inverse, always write 1 over x. So remember that during an exam, don't expect always to have y and x. You'll be given any other variables. Okay. However, you need the key word that you need to acknowledge is the word inversely. When you acknowledge this word, then you will know that after the proportion symbol, you need to put 1 over the variable that you have been given. All right, let's now continue. So when we remove this symbol, the proportion symbol, and substitute it with the equal sign, then we introduce a k. All right. So remember, we have said when you replace this symbol by equal sign, always introduce k, which is the constant of variation. So always introduce a constant of variation after you have removed the proportional symbol. So this is about an inverse variation. How about joint variation? What is involved with joint variation? So with joint variation, we are saying a joint variation is a variation where a quantity varies directly. Okay, so we have directly or inversely with a product of two or more other quantities. So meaning that with the joint variation, we are talking about the relationship of one variable to two or more than two variables, of which this relationship you can have a direct relationship or the inverse relationship, or both of the variables, they can be direct, or both of them they can be inversely. What you need to acknowledge, or how you can know that this is a joint variation, is the statement like this: y varies directly as x and inversely as z. As you can see here, we have the direct and inversely. It's more like the combination of the direct variation and the inverse variation. That's the reason why it's called a joint variation. So now let me try to emphasize about these three variations: the direct variation, the inverse variation, and the joint variation. So the direct variation and the inverse variation deals with two variables, the relationship of one variable to another variable. How are we going to know that this relationship is a direct? This word will appear in the statement. How are we going to know that it's an inverse variation? This word inversely will appear. How are we going to know that it's a joint variation? They will combine both direct and inversely. Or they can say direct and direct, or inversely as x and inversely as z. So in all these three types of variation, we need to acknowledge that after the statement is given to us, we need now to write the statement using the proportional symbol. Once you achieve writing the statement into the proportional symbol, then you need to remove that proportional symbol and substitute it with an equal sign. Once you substitute it with an equal sign, you need to introduce the constant k, which is called the constant of variation. After doing that, that's when now you begin enjoying the calculation. Of course, the first question always will be calculate the constant of variation, the value of k, which is very simple, where now you substitute, for example, if I trace a direct variation, you substitute the value of y and the value of x, and then you make k, then substitute the formula so that you can know the value of k. If I trace an inversely variation, you substitute the value of y and the value of x, and then you make k, then substitute the formula. As well as the joint variation, where you are substituting y, z, and a, y, z, and x, and make k the subject of the formula. Very simple calculation there that you need to enjoy as far as variation is concerned. So as we'll be meeting on Saturday, enjoying the live interaction, we'll take one example or maybe two on the variation so that we can put it on practice on how you can enjoy all the questions that they will ask you during your final exam mathematics. Thank you for watching this video.
Mr. Matsilea, Mr. Matsilea, Mr. Matsilea, oh, oh, Mr. Matsilea, Mr. Matsilea, Mr. Matsilea, Mr. Matsilea, oh, oh, Mr. Matsilea.